More information about the items in this programme can be found on CFAX page 632, or write to BBC Community Programme Unit, PO Box 5045, London W12 7TS.
I want to save my local allotments from the hands of the developers.
Thanks, 444.
To southeast from Papa descent altitude 2,500 feet, QNH 1029.
There they are, there's the allotments, 18 acres of prime agricultural land. They've been farmed for over 100 years, and now a developer wants to build on the greater part of them, and I'm going to stop them.
Hello, approach, this is the Chevron.
Up here in the air is the best way to see the Victoria Jubilee allotments. 210 plots which lie in the heart of Birmingham. The gardeners who once worked these plots bought the site from the church in 1927, becoming shareholders in a Provident Society. Their aim was to set up a safe haven for gardening in the city, but I wonder if those committed gardeners would recognise the VJA today.
This site is a mess. Look at it. It's vandalised, hardly anybody's gardening on it anymore, and people come here to fly tip. The shareholders want to sell it, and they want to sell it for building. But in order to do that, the site has to have planning permission. I'm going to oppose that planning permission, and I'm going to bring evidence to the City Council. What has to happen in order to get planning permission is there has to be proof that demand for plots on the site's fallen. Well, if you look at this, you might think that was the case. But I'd like to go and investigate this issue of demand on another site just down the road. I'm at the Uplands. It's about a mile away from the Victoria Jubilee. There we go. Hardly get a finger between the two sites. And looking around, the place is thriving. There's gardeners all over the place, and there isn't a plot that's uncultivated. You know I'm concerned with trying to prevent building on the Victoria Jubilee allotment site, and the people there say nobody wants plots there, it's derelict. Why do you think it is derelict and this one's thriving?
I can tell you why this one's thriving. We've got 400 plots that are all taken, and we've got a waiting list of 100 people trying to get onto this allotment site. It's not unique in this area. We've got 13 allotment sites in the vicinity of Victoria Jubilee.
Yeah.
And there's a 97% take-up. It's the highest take-up in the city.
Supposing you were to start from scratch, the site's more or less derelict at the moment. How long do you think it would take to turn it round?
I'm an optimist, and I know that within 6 months you can have a crop growing in a piece of ground.
I've now come down to the city centre to visit the local office of Company House here in Birmingham, and I'm going to have a look at the records of the VJA in there. I know that the VJA changed themselves from a Provident Association in 1992 to a business registered at Company's House, and I want to find out what the new goals of that business are. Here we go. 3. The objects for which the company is established are A1. To create and promote the creation of small holdings and allotments and encouraging their proper cultivation. To create and promote the creation of small holdings and allotments and encourage their proper cultivation. You have got to be joking. Have you seen the place? The VJA shares are mostly owned by former gardeners, or in some cases by relatives of people who once worked the land. For them, there's a strong temptation to sell. An independent surveyor valued the site at £2.5 million, so they could make small fortunes. One shareholder, who was willing to speak to me, inherited shares from her dad.
Hi!
Dot,
nice
hi.
to see you. Do come in.
What do you think about the allotments being sold for building?
It's really difficult for me. I don't want the allotment to be built on, basically, because it's so beautiful. I really, really wish I could say, OK, there's no hope, let's take the cash, let's do what we can with it. After all, you know, these people have worked on the land for 30 years and, you know, it's their little bit of land, and if they want to sell it, okay, you know, which is a lot of people's attitudes. And I understand, I really, really understand. As I say, I'm very torn, and I feel great loyalty towards my father's old friends, but I think it would crack me up if I saw it being bulldozed.
I contacted the chairman of the allotments to talk to him about the sale of the site. He refused to talk to me. I wanted to ask him why he was selling the site, given that the primary goal of the business is to promote and create small holdings in allotments. And I also wanted to talk to him about demand for allotments in the area, given that I'm quite sure there are enough people who want plots to use up every single allotment on the Victoria Jubilee. The only communication I have received from the Victoria Jubilee allotments is when I've applied for a plot. And effectively what I've had is a letter which says, in reply to your letter dated 20th of April 96, and that was the second one I sent, we are not letting any plots, we have signed an option agreement to sell the land. Now I find it ironic, but at the same time as they're claiming there's no demand, they're sending out letters, and mine isn't the only one. There's a sheaf I've got here, which shows that they're actually not making plots available.
We're coming into autumn now. The planning application was brought in last winter, and we're still waiting for a decision on the future of the Victoria Jubilee allotments. We still don't know what's going to happen, but I'm very optimistic that so many people now think that it's crazy to build on this land, that there's a jolly good chance and this site will be restored for allotments for the people of Handsworth.
If you have a story you'd like to investigate, please contact us. More information about the items in this programme can be found on CFAX page 632, or email us at cpu@bbc.co.uk.